It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you gotta beat.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin, for that live performance.
Beautiful.
On the week.
Beautiful.
The what? I don't know, what is this one? What is it, number 10?
Week 9. I think it's one more than
9?
the week that we just finished. I think.
You know what?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to stop counting eventually when we get to like. What are we on now? We're on like 500 and I don't even know.
Wait, what? I didn't sign up for this.
Hey, you don't have to stick around for all 500.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm just glad you got through 9 or 10 or whatever the heck number we're on.
Well,
I'll find out when I upload the video because I'll just do one over the last one from last week, and we'll just.
Yes.
I just see the math is really difficult. I just go to the previous number, and then I go to Excel and I type in that number, and then I do plus and then 1 and then whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
Whatever that comes back as, that's what it is.
Who needs a calculator when you have Excel?
Right.
It's almost the same thing. How you doing, Jay? And how was your season so far?
Well, we're in the playoffs. I can't complain about that.
Did you think you'd be able to use that word "we" before the season started?
I think I did. I think you didn't.
No,
give
you're
yourself
better.
credit.
Give yourself more credit, dude. You're way better than you think you are.
I
Regardless
could
of
say
what
the same back at
anybody
you.
thinks of you,
The league hates
I think
me.
you're a great
We've
player.
already decided that.
I think you're a great player, dude. You're so much better than people give you credit for. What?
I am. Okay.
Well, I didn't know how I was gonna do. I'll say that. You might have had faith in me, but boy, did I not.
I had faith you were gonna make the playoffs. Now you'd go in 6-2. That's pretty good. That
Well,
proud of.
I'm just glad I wasn't a part of that frenzy at the end of the season, the last 2 playoff spots and 2 below. Or I'm just glad I wasn't a part of that chaos.
That's a stressful place to be for sure.
I've been there, and it's not fun. And I bet it wasn't fun for 2 of the 4 teams that were involved. So that actually brings us to what we're going to be kind of talking about today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us once again and sticking around for the whole season. If you have a team and you're listening, cool. You're hearing about your team. If you don't have a team in this league and you're listening, you got to get yourself a hobby, dude.
Right.
I know this is a fun league and all.
Play the WPL.
Yeah, okay, if you're listening to this and you want to play, season's almost over. Let me know. Send me a DM. Jay Jingles, whatever the heck my number is. Number 6519. Yes, that one.
Is that actually what it is?
Yeah, I'm lucky. I had the Discord open on my screen as I was saying that. I'm like, wait, I can actually address this. No, send me a PM or DM or whatever, private message, direct message, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, we're even if there isn't a slot at the moment, you can always get slotted in for the next season. We usually have a turnover of about 3 or 4 guys.
Right.
So yeah, hey, first dibs. Don't be a twat, and you're in. It's very low.
As easy as that.
It's as easy as that.
And if you think you can listening to us and you're like, I could destroy these fools. Come, let's see it.
Let's see. I thought you were gonna say like, well, if these guys, I consider these guys being twats, and I just have to be slightly less twatty than that, I'm in.
Twatty. It's the word of the day.
Twatty's the word of the day. I'm gonna name it. The name of the podcast is gonna be Twatty.
It should be.
He'll get flagged.
Yeah.
I do not check the box saying this is made for kids, by the way, because I don't want to be held accountable to what we say sometimes.
It's a family-friendly show.
There is going to be an episode called Vitro Don't Google That, but I don't know when we're going to do it.
That's just the motto of the league, really.
Don't Google that.
Yes.
Yeah. All the things that you're about to Google.
We are not responsible for discussions that occur within the. Well, I'm not responsible for the discussions that occur in the Discord.
I just read.
It.
A lot of people are just like. We won't get into the conversations in general chat, but they're interesting. I'll give you that. So
Yes.
Join us. We got some big things up coming, and I think you guys would want to be a part of it. So watch, listen, check us out, play, have fun, and we'll go from there. But let's get started. Let's get started with what we're going to be talking about today. So we are going to start with, it's a little bit different of an episode than normal. Normally we just go through like recaps and standings and megas and pick'ems and, WPL Academy here and there. But today's going to be a little different because we had a week off in between. I always like to give people a week off after the season's over to kind of prepare for playoffs and also have a mental break. Because it's a long season, and if people prep as hard as we do, we know no one does. But if they do, it's nice to have a week where you don't really have to think about it. Like, there were a couple days where I didn't have to prep for a match where I was like, I am just enjoying this. Like, I was asked, hey, did you prep for your match yet? I'm like, I haven't even looked at the two teams.
Yep.
And it's been great.
Nice. Especially towards the end of the season because things start getting pushed a little bit later and later in the week as the season goes on. And so it's nice to just be like, okay, let's reset that for a moment.
Yeah.
And, wow, I'm really struggling to get this
words.
Like scheduling too. Like, for example, me and my opponent are going next Wednesday, which is, unheard of in the middle of the week because you're like, oh my gosh, I just played my match on, Saturday or Sunday. I have to like turn around and get my match done that quick. Like that's impossible. But when you have a week off in between, it gives you a little more flexibility in scheduling those playoff matchups and really find something that works for both teams.
Well, hey, if you can do those midweek matches, a lot of guys can't, like for whatever reason they've committed to certain things throughout the week and stuff. But I know you're a guy that likes to go midweek, and it also gets it out of the way. Like when you get those early weeks in where you play your match and it's like, man, I got my whole weekend ahead of me and I don't even have to worry about it. I can start looking at my next week's match. Unfortunately, the playoffs, you don't know who you're facing until it's over. But it does give you a little extra time to just kind of not have to worry about it and think about other things and go on with life, right? So so the week off is just kind of nice. Yes, it's a long period in between, but I think it definitely gives guys, especially, 8 teams make the playoffs, let's reward them, Yeah. The guys that didn't make the playoffs get to rest, right? Because the season's over for them. So it's bittersweet. It's sweet that you don't have to prep anymore and relax, but at the same time, you don't get to play, right? So everybody gets a little bit of a break and we move on. So brings us to our round one matchups. But today we're going to go in through recaps. Just 3 of the matches we're really going to talk about because the other ones really were just a matter of seeding. So we can kind of mention who won, who lost, and what affected their standing, I guess. But the 3 that we kind of want to dive into are the 3 that mattered, which we'll get into, that determined the last 4 playoff spots.
Yep.
Sorry, the bottom 4 teams that were playing for the last 2 playoff spots. So we'll get into those. Final standings in the playoff tree. Award nominees we're going to get into, which you may have noticed that they're already showing up in the Discord in the channel season 4 award nominations. Make your pick by reacting 1, 2, or 3 to any of those, please. You can only vote. Oh, please only vote once. Like, I guess I have to check to see if anybody voted twice. I don't want to have to look. Just don't vote twice. But I will be looking. We're also going to conclude the mega status. I'm not going to touch it in the playoffs because, this is just giving us an 8-week sample size of how well or poorly the megas have done. Pick'ems, we're just going to whiz by that really quick when we get there. And we're going to get into what everybody's waiting for, the playoff previews. I don't know what kind of insight we're going to give on each match, but we're just going to kind of go and look at the teams. And I think we may, Jay, do we have the history between the 2 teams, maybe?
We will have that.
I am profusely looking it up as you're talking, Jason.
Yeah, keep talking. Just talk a lot.
But again, it's just fun to have. Like, I think some of them are obvious, like, history between the playoffs and stuff, which we might even just touch on. But mid-season, no one really cares a lot. But we do have a little bit of a surprise about one of the matchups that I think is going to blow your hair back. I think it definitely... Yeah, it's going to get your attention. We'll get into that when we get into the playoff preview and the playoff tree. And we're going to do in the middle, right smack dab in the middle, a WPL Academy, a very important one that I'm actually surprised we haven't done up until this point. It's funny that we got to this after the season has concluded, the regular season. But I believe it's just as important as anything else. And I think if it's not already assumed, this might be some, I'm not supposed to do that. Okay, maybe I won't do that anymore. It's not a rule. It's just do this and don't do this. It just makes it fun for everybody. Okay. So let's just dive right in. So first we're going to talk about the recaps, I guess, right? I
Yeah,
believe
just
the
a
recaps for
couple,
the matches.
just a couple matches. I don't think like you mentioned before, we're not going to go into all of them.
Yeah.
Let's do the
Well,
ones that mattered.
let's do the ones that I'm not going to say didn't matter, but let's just do the ones that didn't have an effect on playoff entry or not.
Yeah,
So we'll go through those ones first. So the first match we're going to talk about just quickly is, let me just go into here, Space City versus Kyogre Canucks. This one, two buddies facing off. As we all know, Space City has had an excellent season. First place has never looked back since pretty much week one.
right.
There may have been a point where he wasn't, which we can check on, but it just seems like he's always been at the top looking down at everybody, but he's really distanced himself near the end. But he faced off against Kyogre Canucks. Game 1, 2-0. Game 2, 1-0. Space City took both. Not like it really mattered again in the end who won or lost. They just had a bit of fun. I think they did a
B tier and below, I believe.
B tier and below, so that was a lot of fun. So no Metagross, no Finny, no no Landorus and things like that. So that was it was a lot of fun. But again, it just goes to show how much depth Space City has on his team. And he just plays well across the board with his team. And Kyogre, I think he's already prepping for next season. He is not a guy that gets kicked down and stays there. So he's not happy with his season this season. I believe he's finished 2-6, 6-2, and 2-6 in his 3 seasons. So which one are we going to get next season? I guess if numbers go the way they go, he's going to be 6-2 next season. So
he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, yeah.
Yeah, look out for him. But also, hey, there's nothing... He's got motivation for next season. So these guys that didn't have the seasons they wanted last season or this season for next season, that was a lot. Like, for example, LA Lineuns, he's going to have a lot of prep involved, and I don't think he wanted to finish the way he finished, so I'd be looking out for him next season. He's a good battler. I just feel like he didn't have the team. Same thing with Kyogre. He probably just didn't have the team he needed for success. We know he's capable. We know both of them are. They've had success in other leagues and things like that. Next match we're going to get into is Florida for Alligators versus myself, Toronto 6. I took game 1 2-0 and took game 2 3-0. Not the team I was expecting him to bring. No Colossal that week, but I think Primarina just got 7 kills out of the 8 that week. So, which after not being used pretty much the entire season, Primarina, I tried.
You did.
I brought it, 4 weeks?
Yeah, just never
came
never
half the
found
season.
right...
Just never found the field.
Yeah.
But no, it went off and it did really well. So hopefully it gives my opponent something to think about for the round 1 of the playoffs. The only effect this match would have had, obviously Florida on the outside looking in, didn't have any effect. But for my standing, I was able to fall as low as 8th seed, I believe, or 7th seed. I think it was 7th seed I could have finished based on plus minus. So finishing in the 3rd seed, which we'll get to why other standings kind of moved up and down the way they went. We'll get into that. But so I definitely did my part by taking a win week 8. Nice little commanding win at the end. Gave me a little bit of confidence. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I don't know how that's going to be.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to yours. Don't worry. The next match we're going to go over is one that actually had a big impact. Distortion Zone versus LA Lineuns. Jay, what do you remember from this match? Like, we had Distortion ended up winning. And if you look on paper, you had Distortion Zone, which was 4-3 versus LA Lineuns that was 0-8. So it looked like it was an easy win when it comes down to 0-7 at the time. An easy win based on the stat sheet, but I don't think this was anything of the such.
No, and I don't think, LA Lineuns is definitely not an 0-7 team the way he played going into this. I think we've talked before, he was probably the unluckiest season. I don't think that he, you take the bad luck out of it. I don't think that suddenly is you're saying, oh, he deserved a playoff spot. But
no,
he definitely wasn't. He definitely wasn't an 0-7 team either. He easily could have had 2, maybe 3 wins in there. But it was definitely a much needed win for Shadow going into it, and and Linus isn't the kind of guy that just kind of gonna meme on you either. I think he built a good team, and he didn't want to end 0-8. So they both had pretty legit teams, and it was a fun one to watch. It was back and forth all match.
Yeah, I agree. And Distortion just played. They both made some really, really nice plays. They also made a couple of mistakes as well that we were watching. I don't remember specific ones. I just remember going, oof, like switches and things like that. There were a couple of them that were like, oof, if you go to the playoffs, man, you got to be a little more careful and things like that. But I think Distortion's come a long way. I think he deserved the win in the end. I think next season LA is going to come back with a fury.
Right.
Watch his draft. I think he's going to draft a little bit different of a team, the way it plays. I think he had the pieces. He had redirection and prankster tailwind and things like that, and he had a really, really good bulky defensive and offensive mon in Celesteela. Maybe the supporting cast just wasn't quite there, but I think he's definitely going to address those issues and come back next season. So congratulations to Shadow, who was in the 7th seed. His condition for not making the playoffs was he had to lose 0-2. So LA had to take both games in order for Distortion to have a chance at not making it. But even in that situation, I think Dublin would have had to lose as well, which he did win, which we'll get to. But he would have had to get a 4-0 win in his one win. So again, very unlikely that Distortion wasn't going to make it in the situation he was in. But I think, again, you take care of business. So game 1, he basically eliminated... I believe it was Texas Land Sharks, wasn't he? With one win from Shadow?
Yeah. One win from Shadow. Actually, one win from Shadow clinched him a playoff spot.
Yeah.
And
did
I
that
don't
have
know
any
if you do
effect
that.
on the Texas one? I forget.
It did eliminate Texas, and it made it so Ant-Man Spiel Voricalcos had to 0-2 Dublin. That was the only way he could make it in at that point.
I thought that was the condition even before anyway.
I think there was technically a way in that if Spiel Voricalcos won 2-1 and Shadow lost 0-2, I think there was a way he could catapult him.
But remember that one that Dublin would have gotten had to have been a 4-0.
A 4-0, exactly. So it was pretty crazy. Basically, for all intents and purposes, Shadow's one win clinched him a spot, kicked Texas out, and the Spiel versus Dublin game came down to their match, and yeah, which is what we assumed it would be ahead of time anyway, but it just confirmed that.
Well, and it's funny now that I think of it, talking to Texas Land Sharks, whenever you talk to the guy, I don't know if you guys have talked to him personally, but every time you ask him, hey, how do you feel about this? Every single answer he gives you is always, I'm feeling confident. He's the most confident guy I've ever heard. I gave him his win conditions and playoff conditions, how you're going to make it. Okay, so you have to 4-0 Octo once and beat him. You have to 2-0 him and then 4-0 one of those 2 wins, and Shadow has to lose 0-2, and Dublin can't beat Spiel with one of those wins being a 4-0. And it's like, yeah, I'm feeling confident. I'm just like, good on you, man. That's I wish I lived like that, man. Like I'm depressed about most things. I'm just like, yeah, like Eeyore. It's like, oh, I guess facing in the playoffs. Oh, I'm facing a tough opponent, you know. But no, that was a fun match. That was probably the second most important match, and I hope it's second. Oh my goodness, the next one on the list is the most great segue, Jay.
Yes.
Great segue.
Yes.
The next match, Spiel Voricalcos versus Dublin Delmise in Week 8. Number 8 seed versus number 9 seed going into Week 8. You couldn't have asked for it to be better. I dealt with this in Season 1. I was the 9th seed looking in, and I just needed to win. Yep. And that was it. That was my condition. I just had to win, and I didn't. It wasn't fun. But the stress level was incredibly high.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the one thing that did, damper this one ever so slightly, even though it was definitely the best, was that it did have to be a 2-0 victory. So Dublin just needed to take one game from Spiel Voricalcos
after the Shadow win, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So once Shadow's match happened, let me see, when did it happen? It happened on
before
the 16th, and this was the next day. Based on when I uploaded the replays, but sometimes I'm on them, sometimes I'm not. So, but I think that one was literally the next day. So his condition changed after the match. People love going, oh, I want to go last, and I'm like, man, I don't want to go last. I want to go first. I don't want to think about anything else other than me getting my job done in the match. Because when things change, you start going, oh, now I need this, and now I need this, and do you really play differently if you need a 4-0? Like, do
I
you
mean, you
really
shouldn't.
like?
But well, I mean, I guess you
maybe,
should.
like,
But
you're like, hey, I need to bulk up. Maybe I need to sweep.
I need to
But
do some crazy switches in here as well. It's just nice to be able to play your own game and leave it up to everything else to see how the dominoes fall in that situation.
mm-hmm.
But not, I mean, so that being said, looking at the match itself, Spiel kind of came out with his beat up Justified,
His
Dragon
go-to.
Bolt. And it actually looked pretty good for him early, but Dublin
He
was
let him
able to
do it.
stave it off. Yeah, he let him do it. But Dublin was able to answer, I believe, with the Mudsdale. And he was able to stall it out, and which is funny. You don't think of being able to stall out a beat up Justified, but he was able to play around it and able to take him out in the end. But good on Spiel for I don't know if he knew it at the time. I'm guessing he did, but he's out of the playoffs at that point. He didn't just lay down. He came out and actually smashed Dublin in game two,
Mm-hmm.
which was great. The Blastoise, the redirection with the Blastoise.
It was a good adjustment. It was a very nice
It was a
adjustment.
great adjustment.
Like you're going
especially
after
after having such a hard time killing the Mudsdale in game one. It's like, well, let me bring what I brought for Mudsdale, which is a Blastoise, which definitely hits Mudsdale very hard.
Well, going after a Mudsdale on the physical side is not the best idea sometimes. With that stamina ability, it just snowballs, right? So, but I it's neat to kind of see guys' strategies. Like you had to have known that the beat up Justified strat with the Gallade and the Dragapult were coming. That's what got him there. It's where he's had most of his success this season. So to see a lead with, I think it was Mudsdale Virizion and coaching Virizion.
Yeah.
That was really unexpected. I remember watching that live going, well, I have faith in Dublin because it's not like you're surprised by this lead from the Sphelavori Calcos. You can't be surprised. Oh no, Dragapult Gallade? Like, what? Yeah. No, like he knew it was coming, and I think that's the time. Just a little bit of a little side session of WPL Academy. If you do an obvious lead, like that's just a standard duo like Comfey Moltres or Excadrill T-Tar, and your opponent leads something that doesn't look like it's able to stop it, chances are you're missing something.
Right, and I think we talk all the time about trying to be unpredictable. And I think that's just one of those things where you just got to be like, especially when you need that win. In any other week, I would definitely say, hey, here's my best. Can you stop it? Oh, you stopped it. Okay, well, here's my plan B. But in a week where you need a 2-0 win, the opponent is going to have, some answer. Whether or not they can beat it or not, that's another thing. There's also I don't think you have a way of stopping this, and so I'm just going to do it anyway.
Those are the best weeks.
Yes, I love those weeks.
We've had those.
But, being unpredictable when you need, especially like I said, when you need that, when you can't lose, I think being unpredictable is generally the way to go. But, I mean, there's also limits. I mean, just because it's unpredictable doesn't mean it's a good strategy either.
Yeah, it was good. I don't know anybody in this league who wouldn't have just started beating up their Gallade in that situation. I remember when I was watching it, I'm like, well, I guess you just go ahead and do it. The coaching on the Virizion was a little surprising, but again, I think that a counter for that beat up Justified strat, in case anybody doesn't know, using a dark type attack on your own mon gives you an attack boost, and beat up it hits 4 times. If it's early in the match, it's based on how many Pokemon you have left, which is 4. And it gives you a +4 attack right off the bat. So the counter was just coaching your Mudsdale, so the Mudsdale gets defensively bulky, right? One way to counter offensive buffs is buffing your own defense, right?
Yep.
It's the exact same. So so that was his, and not to mention every time you hit the Mudsdale, it gets defense boost anyway. So it's just it was a good strategy from Dublin. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with against Space in round 1, which we'll get to. So Sphelavori Calcos ends up losing 2-1. I don't think he knew that after that game 1 loss. I don't know if he knew at that moment that that his playoff hopes were done. Because I don't know if he knew that things changed with the Shadow win. He might not have thought of it. Just put your head down and take care of your own business, right? In the moment.
Yeah.
You just got to win, right? And he tried his best and just fell short, but he lost to a good opponent, so you can't be upset. But Yeah, he's been kind of a fringe team, but actually he made the playoffs last season and stuff like that. But he's always been in the mix, always.
Right.
Just
He's always fighting for a spot.
Exactly, like he's
in the bubble.
He's never a notorious bottom team. He's not right at the top, but he's competitive. He brings interesting teams, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see what he brings every week. Really, so it just sucks we can't watch him in the playoffs. But the 8 teams that we do have in are a whole lot of fun to watch as well. One of them being Great Marsh Gastrodons, who in week 8 took on Seattle Sigilifts. Want to talk about teams that are really interesting to watch. Belly Drum Charizard.
Yes, I saw. Did you see him post in the chat? Yeah,
we didn't see it, but he told us about it. That's the first time in the match I've seen. Can you not attack my Charizard right now?
That was fun.
And he's like, I guess I'm attacking the Charizard. No, he wanted a belly jump with his Mega Charizard Y. That was a lot of fun to watch, but unfortunately, great. Hey, it was close though. 1-0 game 1 for Great Marsh and 1-0 game 2 for Great Marsh. He won, but those 1-0 wins, we always say that whenever you win or lose 1-0, I think that it could have gone either way.
Right. Yeah. No, they were close. Seattle was out of the playoffs at that point, so I'm definitely not surprised he brought something like a Belly Drum Charizard. Great Marsh was clinched in the playoffs, only had some seeding to fight for, and actually, I don't even think Great Marsh had a huge range that he could fall in. He had his plus minus great. So he basically he was between 8 and 6.
Or I forget what it was. I thought he could have gotten to 5 or something like that. But we talked about it last podcast. Well, I don't remember. I don't listen to them. You guys listen to them? Probably should. Yeah, hold us accountable to the stuff that we say.
Yeah. But don't change what you're going to do, and then hold us accountable to it. Please.
Yeah. We have the fine print at the bottom of the description. We don't, but we are not responsible for any losses that may incur. I'll have my lawyer talk to your lawyer, but
that's right.
But yeah, so Great Marsh ended up winning. Seattle ended up losing. Seattle, another fun team to watch. Can't wait to see him next season. That guy, you can't knock him down. He'll be back next season, and another really tough guy to play against. Great Marsh is actually my round 1 opponent. We'll see how that laid out the standings to allow that to happen. Go blue side, or is it go red side?
You're red side.
I'm red side. Go red side. No, go blue side.
Now you have
pull up my bandana.
You're red side. You're red side. I'm blue side.
Now I don't trust you. I'm gonna look it up myself.
I just looked it up. Blue side.
I still don't trust you. You can tell me. You can tell me I'm green side. Next match brings us to a match that did matter up until the match that we just. The Shadow match. So this one literally had no effect on anything other than seeding for Spider Phantom. As we mentioned earlier, Texas had a very, very, very specific way he could have made the playoffs, and it was a lot of fun. Like I said, talking to him about it. Yeah, I feel confident. I think Octo Spider Phantom Troop just went to work. Just kind of chess matched him game 1 and then just blew him out game 2. But no, Texas, one of the first things he said after he lost is when's the next season?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No,
he's back. He's a lifer. And I think he's got a friend that wants to join too. We'll see how that materializes too. So.
More Texas people?
More Texans?
Yeah.
It's
their own country down there.
Just like up here in Canada. It's like we're a country as well.
Yep, that's right. So next up is Vitor and Steinwood, right?
No, I was going to say, speaking of... You ruined my segue, Jay. I was going to say, speaking about disappointments. We just mentioned Canada, but anyway. Speaking of disappointments, we got Cascade Illusions versus Sapphire Salamence. I think this was the only upset of the week. When it came to matches played, top seed versus bottom seed kind of thing. I think this was the only one. No excuses, but at the same time, you were on vacation throughout the week. I knew you weren't going to be 100% ready. And how was Disneyland, by the way?
It was a lot of fun. I think I mentioned in the chat, like when you go as a parent, it is definitely a different experience than when you go and you don't have to worry about kids. But no, it was magical for them, and that's what it's all about. And
did you just say it was magical?
Yeah, it's the happiest place on earth, dude.
Oh my goodness. Do
No,
you work
and
for Disney now?
I should. Did ESPN pick us up? They should have. We're gonna be on ESPN Ocho next.
The letters in the mail.
That's right. No, no. Props to my opponent. He had a great team. Sapphire turned it on the second half of the season. I think he made some good moves halfway
Yo,
through the season, and
yeah.
just a little too late on the standings wise. But no, his team was insanely hard to prep for, and like you mentioned, I was out for 4 days last week. And we did some prep on Tuesday, and like I didn't see it again until 20 minutes before the match. And I even said to you, no excuses. I mean, that's on me, and I didn't prep. That's what happens when you don't prep very good. You get smashed, and you move on. I was just glad to be, in a clinched spot where I didn't need that win. So.
That would really suck if it came down to it. You were on the outside looking in and stuff like that. But you were fortunate enough to.
And I can tell you, if I was in that situation, I probably would have prepped a lot harder. So, no, but he smashed me.
I think it was a combination of the two.
And he had a great team, and yeah,
he did. His team looked awesome, by the way. Like just bringing up one of the matches, like he brought Mega Salamence, Porygon Z, Gengar, Landorus T, Persian, and I get them wrong, Latias. That's a VGC team. And here you are with Sigilif and stuff like that. You're just like, oh.
No, it was good, but he prepped well, and I barely
and he won well.
He smashed me, so like that's how it works.
He was a guy that like I just felt like he got a little bit better every week,
right?
And then it just kind of clicked like week 4 or something like that. Something clicked. It might have been a free agent move, might have been a mentality or something, but I do feel like I noticed a major difference, and I'm like, wow, I'm glad I faced him first. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he brings next season. So yeah, you figure. I mean, I pulled it up. He started with 0-3 record, and he finished the season 3-2. So he definitely finished the season. And his 2 losses were against Space City and Spider Phantom Troop, 2 premier teams in the league. So yeah.
So did he only play 5 weeks or something? If he finished 3-2,
he started 0-3, and then he went.
Oh, and he finished. I thought you meant like the record he finished was 3-2, and I'm like,
no. No, he finished the season. The back half of his season was, he was right
after
there
week
with
3. He was a winning team,
right? That's what I'm
which is good. Like it's to start 0-3 and then finish like that. That's really good. Like some guys check out and stuff like that, and just kind of go, whatever. I'll just give the bare minimum and wait for next season, right? But no, he made his moves and he played well, and we'll have to see him next season. He's confirmed, so he'll be back.
Nice.
But the last move. Oh god, the last match we're going to talk about is Cyanwood Cyndaquils versus Sao Paulo Excadrills. Another match, top versus bottom. Vitor, just again went to work and just ninja'd his way into a better playoff position, finishing number 2, I believe. Yeah, he finished 2nd place, so he'll be facing the 7th seed. 2-0 game 1, 2-0 game 2. Just pretty standard Vitor stuff.
Yep.
But that was one of the matches we didn't want to talk about much, just like the other 4 or whatever it was that didn't really matter a lot because of the standings, right? Which brings us to the standings, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So the final standings, number 1, Space City, 2, Sao Paulo Excadrills, 3, Toronto 6, 4, Spider Phantom Troop, 5, Cascade Illusions, 6, Great Marsh Gastrodon, 7, Distortion Zone, 8, Dublin Delmise. Congratulations for you guys making the playoffs. It is not easy. I've only been there twice. I got there 50% of the time, so it's not easy. And when I do, it doesn't get any easier when the playoffs start. So, which we'll get into now. Actually, the playoff tree. If you're a spectator, it looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you're playing,
every match is a good one. I mean, I think there's no matches on here that you're like, well, it's playoffs, but like that's not going to be particularly exciting. I think all of these are going to be good.
Well, let's look at 1 versus 8. Does that really look like a 1 versus 8 match?
No, it's a rematch of a couple weeks ago as well.
Week 7.
Space City PC versus Dublin Delmise. I mean, even just the fact that Dublin is down at the 8th seed is weird to see, but it goes to show you how competitive this league has become. I did look up the records. So actually, Space versus Dublin, they're their match 2 weeks ago was their only match they played against each other, and Space took so a 1-0 victory there. It was a good game too, if I recall correctly. I think Space did take both games, but it was a hard.
Didn't Metagross just go off? Or was it Finney that week? I think Finney might have just gone off.
That's a good question, and we should have answers for those questions.
Great coverage.
Metagross went off that week. Yeah, Metagross just kind of...
It's one or the other each week.
Yeah, 7 kills, 1 death. Dynamax both games. Yeah, it just... Yeah, that's the scary thing about Space's team, is that he can hit you from so many different angles that... What do you prep for?
What do they say? They can beat you 10 ways from Sunday or something like that. What's the saying? I forget what it is.
I forget what it is too, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's a great saying.
Yeah, it's too bad we butchered it, but
yeah, it's a great saying if you do it right.
That's right. No, I think this is going to be. I think also, Dublin's a guy that he's going to bounce back from a loss like that, and he got his way into the playoffs, and I think he's itching for this rematch for sure.
Yeah, I think well, you have the advantage too, like mentally when you go in, and there's nothing like losing to a guy and then having to face him right after when it's a do or die match in the playoffs. So I bet Dublin's probably not looking forward to this very much, because you can't forget about a loss. Sometimes people build on it and get better from it, and sometimes it just stays in your head. Like for example, I didn't get matched up against Vitor round 1, but I lost to him week 7, and it didn't feel good. So I was hoping I didn't face him round 1. Maybe round 2, I'll be a little more confident if that comes to it. But yeah, it just goes to show you, when you lose to a guy recently and you have to play him again, you're not looking forward to it. So I think the mental game, I think Space has the advantage. But I
will say though,
yeah.
Just on top of that, I remember when we were covering this match, talked about this match. We thought Dublin's team was a very odd team to bring against Space. He brought no Delmise and no Mudsdale. I'm going to guess both of those are coming this week. Both of those have plus matchups against that Metagross that went off against him. Obviously, the Finney's still scary for the Mudsdale, but the Delmise also helps with that as well. I think you see a very different team that Dublin brings this time.
I agree.
And I think this is one of the matches I'm most excited to watch.
I can't even pick one, dude. Maybe mine I won't pick, because I don't think it's going to be interesting at all. But yeah, I think they're all going to be really, really good. And I want to do my picks for this. I think not even so much pick'ems or I just want to pick who I think is going to win. I don't think anyone can pick against Space City right now. What do you think?
I think it's a hard thing to do. But I feel a little bit like I need to stick to my guns, and I picked Dublin Delmise to win the whole thing this year. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Dublin on this one.
Is this a pride pick? Is this a pride pick? Like just like I can't go against what I said.
Well, also we know how well you are at picking teams, so the fact that you picked
no, I'm so sorry, Space. but that week I picked him to win, and he won.
That is accurate.
Yeah,
I think that might be the only week that I lost on too. So
I don't think you were there though. Oh no, you were there. I think it was the previous week you weren't there.
Either way, no, I think this is gonna be a good match, and I'm excited for it.
Hot take. It's gonna be a good match, everybody. It's a hot take.
Playoffs.
So we have some news about the next one too. Spider Phantom Troop versus Cascade Illusions, and there's a reason I didn't say Octo versus Cascade. Or Octo versus Tevis, because Octo, I won't get into details why, but there was always a period where Octo might not have been able to continue the season. He talked to me before the season started. I wanted him to play. He says, hey, if school gets too busy and this and that, and obviously life outside of the league comes first. And I was hoping the day wouldn't come, especially now when the stakes are so high. But unfortunately, Octo, as everybody knows, the coach of the Spider Phantom Troop, has to step down before his playoffs are played, unfortunately. I know it's upsetting to hear because, the importance of the match and things like that. But when you don't want school to get in the way of the WPL. You don't want the WPL to get in the way of school,
Yep.
So when one of those things has to go, you got to get your priorities in order, and he's definitely doing that. And I wasn't happy to hear the news, but at the same time, I definitely I feel for that. So stepping in for him, the tall task or the tall order that he has to come in and face Cascade Illusions is Slick36. Everybody, welcome back, Slicks. Everybody, welcome back, Slick.
Welcome.
Just in case people don't know who Slick is, Slick was a part of Season 1 and Season 2 and stepped away from the game because life got a little bit too busy, which is fine. We've had that before, but he's been very active in the server and the VGC chat, and just loves the game, loves being a part of it, loves being around everybody, and we love him being around as well. So it's some big shoes to fill, that's for sure, filling an Octo roster, but I believe that they're talking and just kind of seeing strategies and things like that. So he's definitely got some help for his match. But so did anything change for you, Tevis, when you found out the coach change?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's still the same team I have to prep against.
That's probably right.
I don't think. I don't think going into it, there's going to be a whole lot where it's like, well, now that it's not Octo, we can count this out, especially since, Octo's going to be talking to him, I imagine.
Yeah, that's how you lose, isn't it? Like, you're just like, you won't do that.
Right. And so I think, not a whole lot changes for me. I think, I'm a little disappointed. I haven't faced Octo a whole lot in like a few seasons that we've been in, so I was definitely looking forward to that. And I mean, this might as well good time as any. So I own a 1-0 victory over Octo earlier this season, and the only time I faced Slick, he actually beat me in Season 2. So I'm thinking there might be some shenanigans going on here. So that'll be fun too. And yes, Slick's a great guy. I'm excited to hopefully beat him up this next week
in the game, of course.
Yeah.
In the game.
Yes.
I know how we feel about Texans, but yes.
Is he? I guess he is a Texan, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
All the Texans.
They're going to take over the league, dude.
Yeah, they have a tendency to do that.
Them and their guns.
No, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Did you have any insights as to how you think this match will go?
If I had to pick who's going to win, I would have to go with you over.
Jay, you weren't supposed to say that.
Well, and it's I try to give the least like obviously we're buddies. Like I try not to give too many biased opinions and stuff like that. But just looking at like, and you know me, dude. Like me and Jay talk all the time, and a lot of the times it appears biased certain times talking about things, but I usually talk out my reasoning on pretty much everything. Like even some stuff is like, Jay, like you don't have to explain this at all, but I do anyway. So like I considered the fact that it's a new team, he hasn't played in draft league in a while, prepping things like that. That's all going to be fresh to him for the past 8 months, right?
Right.
I don't know how much Pokemon he's been playing, so how many strategies he's seen, how many damage calcs he's done. Obviously, you can get back into that pretty easily. It's not too bad, but it definitely changes, and there are some things you don't consider in battle and in prep that you may consider after having experience playing a whole season. Not to mention playing a team you're unfamiliar with, that you have to get familiar with within a week. As opposed
I think
to
that's
a team that's been using it all
that's
season.
The hardest thing. It's one thing to say, he's back to first match again in draft league, but it's not even a team that he drafted. Like,
it's hard.
You have your tendencies, and there's certain Pokemon or certain styles of play.
Play styles. I hate hearing that, but it's kind of true, I guess.
Well, it is. I mean, you have guys that are a lot more aggressive than others.
Like I don't know how I feel about that yet. Like I get it. Everybody says it. I think it's just a cliche. It's his play style and this and that. I hear guys say it all the time. So,
yeah, but I mean, I can speak from experience that there's Pokemon that I don't draft, and I know that they're good, but I know that I wouldn't be good with them. Like I don't think I could. I don't think I would be good if I took this Pokemon. And who's to say that half of Octo's team isn't Pokemon that Slick feels that way about? Like, I know this is a good Pokemon. I don't really know how to use it very well.
You make it your play style. That's my opinion.
I mean, you have
make
to
it your play style.
But I think that's harder than
yeah.
taking
What?
Pokemon that you know.
Yeah, like for example, like he gets to use an Oranguru potentially that he's been using on the ladder, which I think is actually really nice. If that's the way he wants to go, right? He
Well,
might
I
not
think
bring anyone.
I think right there is a great example. We talked about Oranguru before the season started, and I had it on a couple of my draft lists, and I remember thinking, I just don't think I'll be very good with this Pokemon, and so I ended up not going that route. So like that right there is a good example of a Pokemon that I mean I probably could use, but I just don't feel comfortable with it, and we'll see how Slick is with the Pokemon that Octo has, and maybe he's good enough that he can make literally any team work, and I think it'll be a good match either way.
Yeah, I think so too. Just before we move on to the red side, the better side of the bracket. Was there anything last season that you didn't feel comfortable using that you eventually did feel comfortable using? I'm just curious. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just kind of curious.
During the season,
like, is there anything that I made you draft as your coach last season that you're just like, maybe, and then it worked, or maybe it didn't work?
That's a good question, actually.
I know,
think...
right? I think Spectre is one of them that I kind of talked you into picking up, and it didn't quite work.
I was gonna say, I think just in general for me, I'm not a huge Trick Room fan. Like, I don't like having to set it up, and I got better at using Musharna in that way. And there was definitely some weeks that I used it. I definitely would still say I don't like setting up Trick Room. I think that's one of those playstyle things that you hate to talk about. But I don't think you're ever going to see me with a team that the primary focus is trying to get a Trick Room. I like having Pokemon.
Round one opponent. You hear that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at my team right now, I have nothing.
Or these are head games. These are just head
nothing in
games.
Trick Room. No, but like I like having like last season I had an Escavalier, which was great in Trick Room, but it was kind of more of my, if I can't stop him from getting a Trick Room, then I'm going to bring this thing and like bait him into setting it. But there was very few weeks that my strategy was, I want to set up Trick Room this week.
Yeah, like the I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me thing that we have. Yeah. Go Escav.
Yeah.
Use Ironhead. I've been watching a lot of Pokemon Journeys. It's a great show. It's so cool, man. Yeah. I've been terminating a cabinet in a data center, so I'm literally just sitting in one spot for 8 hours, 3 days in a row. I'm putting on some Pokemon.
Nice.
Working, of course. Yes. Yeah. So that's the terrible blue side. Go red side. So the red side, the first match we're going to talk about is Sao Paulo Excadrills versus Distortion Zone, number 2 versus number 7 seed.
Yeah, I think this one.
Yeah, when it looks at this one, yeah.
Well, you paused. I thought that was a Jay talk for a second.
No, that was me being scared.
Oh. Well, here I'll start on this one. I think this one is looking at all the matches, this one seems to be the most lopsided. And I say that mostly because this is Shadow's first chance at the dance here.
Yep.
And Vitor is a perennial championship
finalist.
Yeah. So this one definitely on paper has the looks of being the most lopsided. But I will say these two did face each other earlier this season. And it was not a complete blowout.
No, it was really close.
It was close the whole way through. I think the game got a little bit away from Shadow late, as happens against Vitor often. But it was a back and forth affair all the way through, and I think this one will definitely be. I could see a repeat of that. Regardless of the outcome, I definitely Shadow has a knack for making it to game 3s, and I wouldn't be surprised if he at least pushes this to a game 3.
Yeah, I think so too. My pick would be Vitor as well for this specific match. Again, nothing against Distortion Zone, but like you said, the experience and also the history of one of the teams making the finals, not just winning the first round, making the playoffs and winning the first round, second round. He makes the finals every season. So I think he definitely has the advantage just historically. But you know where I would give Distortion Zone the edge? Team. I believe 1 through 12 on his team is slightly better than Vitor's 1 through 12. I do believe there is a winning team in that 12, bringing 6 Mons. I do believe there is a winning team in there. I can't say that about everyone.
I would agree
Um,
with that. That 1 through 12. I'm nervous about Vitor's 1 through 6 though. Like the top of Vitor's team is just so good. I mean,
when you
you
have
could go
Eliki,
Tyranitar, Excadrill, Eliki, Galarian, Zapdos. I feel like you could go to the ladder with those 4 Pokemon and make something happen. Torracat, I think is. I mean, obviously it's
it's a piece,
discounted
yeah.
to Vitor, but like you could almost take Vitor's team and the top half of his team and make a good VGC team to go ladder with.
Oh
That
yeah.
being said, I agree with you that I think the bottom half of Shadow's team is better than the bottom half of Vitor's team overall, and I think that could make this really interesting. And I think it would be interesting to see how Shadow does that.
Well, we very well could be seeing a weather war. We didn't
Yep.
see that earlier in the season. We got hail versus sand. But whenever you see, like just looking at Shadow's team, he's got beat up Whimsicott with Cobalion. He's got his Hail Sand Rush with his Sand Slash. He's got a Slow Mode. He's got a Dragonite. He's got anti-priority moves on Serena. He's got Trick Room and Trick Room Prevention in his Slowbro. He's got Fast. He's got Slow. I think he just has such a nice team.
Yep.
I just think that he has the team in there. It's just will he find it in his prep, and even then, will you be? I think the key to beating Vitor is being unpredictable games 2 and 3. Like you see a lot of the times Vitor loses a game, he usually doesn't lose the match.
Especially if you try to, you're not going to beat him with the same strategy 2 games in a row.
No, I don't think anyone really does.
There are certain times times where you're like, well, I don't think he's gonna have an answer for this, and sometimes you're right, he doesn't, and you're able to beat your opponent that way. That doesn't happen if you beat Vitor. You're probably gonna need to reach into your bag of tricks to beat him a different way the next time.
Yeah, I think having a versatile 6 with a bunch of different leads and strategies and throwing as many strategies into a team as possible, and it's going to be hard to outthink him, but I think there is a situation where Shadow does win, but I would give the edge to Vitor in round 1.
Yep, I agree with that.
Go red side. Our last match actually is mine. So the Toronto 6 versus the Great Marsh Gastrodon. Number 3 versus number 6. I think this is just an easy markup of the Toronto 6 winning. Go red side again.
And this is another one of those that I think it's going to be really, really close. I did look it up, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it looks like you guys have split historically. You've each won one.
Yeah, in season 1, I beat him. He had his Gigalith Stoutland that season. I think I beat him just based on a concept, so I don't think I beat him just straight up. I think I just kind of had a concept that he wasn't aware of in the moment. We all just kind of get better. I just found it before he did. So I had the weather advantage, rain versus sand that season, which gave me, I believe I won in 2 straight games. But and then the next season we had probably one of the most fun matches I've ever played actually was in season 2 against him. That one came right down to the wire. He took game 1, I took game 2, and he took game 3 on a really nice switch-in for him. So he definitely outplayed me late, but I don't think he really felt confident about that match at the end, and I don't think I felt confident either going in. So I think both of us, we chatted a little bit, and I think the trash talk has begun. But I think in the end, I think it's just going to be fun. I'm really glad that one of us is going to go on to the next round. One of us gets that monkey off our back when it comes to round 2 appearance. So
Yep.
I'm obviously I'd be happier if I made it, but if he beats me, I think he's an excellent player. Those Brits they're real nice. Oh, Jeff. No, but yeah, I like playing against good players and stuff, and it's just a really, really nice. I haven't played him all season too, so I'm glad I got to face him too.
Yep.
So we'll see how that one goes. Jay, what's your pick for this week? Unless you have anything else to add about the matchups. Is there any standouts in the rosters either way?
For this match or just in general?
No, the one from 4 weeks ago. Of course, the one I'm talking about.
Oh, well, didn't know if you're talking about the other matches that we just went over.
No, that was mean. I'm sorry.
In the rosters, I mean, battle of the new legendary horses.
Oh yeah,
possibly.
the horses. Yeah.
I think, I mean, I think this was just going to be a tough way to see how it goes. I mean, he has a good trick room mode, but now that he picked up a couple fast pieces, I think Great Marsh the last half of the season was the best team. He
That's
just
fair.
kind of started blowing people out as soon as he picked up Naganadel and Spectrier, and he hasn't looked back since. Um, to be honest with you, I'd be a little nervous if I were you right now. Looking at the because the second half of the season, the last 4 weeks, he lost one game. Period. He went 4-0 with eight game wins to 1 game loss um, against some decent opponents in there. So I definitely think he's the hottest team right now. And you never want to face the hottest team getting into the playoffs. It doesn't matter what seed they are. If they came in hot, anything can happen.
That is a really good point. The one thing I noticed looking at the two teams is when I look at his 12, I see such a variance in speed.
Yes.
Like he's got things that are incredibly slow, like his Gigalith and Slowbro and things like that. He also has things that are incredibly fast, like Naganadel and Spectrier and things like that. And so I think that's kind of neat. He's got redirection and things like that I got to consider. So I think he has a really nice complete team. I think earlier in the season it wasn't quite complete. So I think just like Kev's, we were talking about the Sapphire Salamence, I think he's really done a good job using his free agents to improve his team the most. And it's definitely leading to a fun round one overall. This one and all the other matches, not to mention. So good luck to all the teams. I think, like Jay, you were saying, I think every single match is going to be really exciting, except for mine. You don't have to watch mine. It's not gonna be fun, sweeps.
It's on the red side, so it's not gonna be that exciting.
Ooh, comment down below. What matchups are better, red side or blue side? If you're in our Discord,
So you need to add the picture.
Yeah, go in the stand, not the standings, the schedule, and you'll see there's two reactions: a red mark and a blue mark. Pick your side.
That's right.
Which side is better? Jay, thanks for starting that, and thanks, Great Marsh, for carrying that on.
Great Marsh, thank you. So Jay can contest to this, but I was so happy when I saw that you had did that, because I was like, I wonder if anybody's even going to get this. And then I saw that you did yours, and I was like, yes, thank you so much. So
I think we just found the name of our podcast for this week, didn't we? Red side versus blue side.
Red versus blue. Nice.
I think that's got to be it. And people are outside of the server are just like, what is happening right now? Go red side. Yeah, fun times. So that's the playoff picture, guys. Everybody that made it, good luck. Everybody that didn't make it, tune in, watch the matches, be involved, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching. When I was on the when I didn't make the playoffs and I was watching, it was just as exciting. If anything, it was more enjoyable because I wasn't nervous as hell going into the match.
Yes, that is always nice.
I'm cool and collected right now. Next week, not so much. We'll see.
Yes.
I've done a little bit of prep, and so far I feel pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good, and so does he, so it should be fun. Nice. So that's it for the recaps. Let's go into – I want to get into – well, we already did the previews, actually. We went way out of order. When I say we, I mean me.
Yes. No, that's all right. Should we jump into WPL Academy?
Yeah, let's. I wanted to put this one right in the middle. I think I mentioned it at the beginning that I wanted to put it in the middle because I want people to really hear it. I don't want people to be at the end and be like, whatever, I'll just watch this later and never get to it, because I think this is really important. WPL Academy usually goes at the end, but this isn't even so much. This segment, this specific topic is not even so much. Here's how you get better. No, this is how to do battles in the WPL, tips and etiquette. I think this is a long time coming, and I think everyone's done a really good job. I think everyone that plays is respectful, the basic rules and functionality of being pleasant to play and things like that, preparing and scheduling your matches have been really nice. But there are some things that are going on that I definitely wanted to address, but nothing specific to anyone specific. There might have been specific situations that have, come up, but I just wanted to address them now. So this is one of two things. It's going to be two things. I want to talk about things that will help you in your match. First of all, just good practice, things that Jay and I both do that make things a little easier. Say you're getting really stressed. And then there's the etiquette. And I really want guys to think about your opponent. And there's actually a point I want to touch on as well that we don't even have down here. Jay, talk for a second. I'm just going to write this down. I can't type and text at the same time.
No, I think, and like Jay said, I think everyone in this league is great. I mean, we're definitely not out here to try to call anybody out, and I think even on the etiquette things, we've all had times where, one example is, scheduling. I know that I'm also, not always the easiest person to schedule with either.
No,
I try to do my best to open it up, but I typically don't like to go on the weekends, but I know a lot of people do like to go on the weekends. But I think
it's compromise. I think
there's compromises that can be made, and none of us are perfect at this. We definitely don't think that we're the best and we're looking down on all you.
No, not at all.
At this. But this is for everyone, and I think it'll just make the league a lot better experience for everybody.
100%. And thanks for giving me that time, Jay. Because when I'm talking, I can't type something different. But and I also didn't want to touch on the point right then and there because I think it really ties into what we were talking about before. So how can we help you guys? How can we make your match day, match prep, match everything easier for you mentally, physically, emotionally, post, pre, things like that? I would say the first thing we should really touch on is take your time.
Yes.
To an extent, which will bring us to another point later, but take your time, guys. Sometimes I'm watching a live match and I feel like I'm watching a replay.
Yeah, it's going so fast.
Because y'all are locking in your moves so fast. Take a second to think. Think about all the possible scenarios. Like, ask yourself, what would I do if I were them? Like, I don't want anyone ever in a match. One of the worst feelings is, I have a lot of one of the worst feelings if you guys listen to the podcast. One of the worst feelings is being in a match and you click your move, you lock in and say, this is what I want to do. And your opponent does something that you go, I had no idea that was even an option. Right. Or I was not expecting that. That's one of the worst feelings because then they got the jump on you. And now you're playing on your heels, right? You're on your heels. How do I recover from this? It could be a nasty plot. It could be a dragon dance. It could be a switch. It could be anything, right? And it could be a Dynamax. It could be a move that you didn't know your opponent's Pokemon got. So take your time think about all the scenarios that could happen. Do your research. Think about what could your opponent do supportively. Like, obviously you have offensive mons primarily and support mons primarily. Is there a way that they could flip roles? Right. I think a lot of guys sometimes don't realize the supportive capabilities of a Pokemon that's usually offensively used. And Draft League is so much fun for that exact reason, because we've seen support Cinderace. We've seen support Rillaboom with Snarl. We've seen offensive Reggie Eliki that Dynamaxed. They like not standard stuff, but in situations work really, really well. So just be aware of all the possible situations. Do your prep and do your job to be ready for those things. And I think taking your time is one of the most important things I tell people whenever I talk to Jay, when I talk to you before your match, I always say, take your time.
Yep.
Shadow,
usually the final word of advice.
Yeah. Take your time.
I think even on top of that, just to add to that too, there's many times where, you'll be like, okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do this move. He's probably going to do this move, especially when it's like, okay, my Manectric is going down here. There's that's going to happen. That's the plan. I need to sack off Manectric, and I'm going to get something else in. And then sure enough, everything goes exactly as I think it's going to happen. Before I click on that Pokemon I was already planning on bringing in, there's that moment of, this is still the plan, right? Because that'll get you sometimes too, where you're thinking 2-3 turns ahead. And you're like, okay, this is going to happen. I'm going to switch. I'm going to hit Volt Switch here to get out, and I'm going to go into this Pokemon, yada, yada, yada. Between each of those steps, you need to take that extra second and be like, this is still the plan, right? This is still the best move. Nothing's changed since the last time I figured this all out. This is still what I want to do, because I see that sometimes where it's just like, well, why'd you switch that Pokemon in so fast? You're like, well, that was my plan ahead of time. I'm like, okay, but maybe
This is
also
a
you should have taken
conversation
this.
with yourself, right? Like,
Right.
you're like, Jay, why are you doing that? Well, let me explain to you, Jay. You're a little slow
Yeah.
sometimes. You're talking to yourself. Wow, my head is my inner voice
Kind
is
of a
really
jerk.
condescending.
No, but I think, yeah, like just every move, you shouldn't just click the button. There should be never a time where you just click the button. You
Yeah,
need to
this is
just
the
be like,
best
okay,
thing. Just do it. No,
yeah,
you have
like
to
some,
consider.
especially if it is the most obvious play. I think one thing that happens, I think even more a better example is, you're saying going into the match, you're like, okay, this is my main lead that I want to do game one. This is what I think his main lead is when he's going to do game one, and this is what I do if I see that lead. You could be spending the entire week thinking about those leads. When you send out your lead and he sends out his lead, and it's exactly what you've been prepping for, even in that situation, I think you should take a second and be like, all right, this is the plan, right? This is still what I'm thinking.
Always.
Um, and even, like I said, even if you've been spending 3 days knowing what you're going to do, when you're actually in a situation, take that extra second. Just ask yourself, this is still the best plan, and why is it still the best plan?
5 seconds.
And
Just take 5 seconds. That's all. I think that's all it takes. Ask yourself a couple of questions. How do I win here? What are my win conditions? What is their win condition? Is this going to kill? Do I need to calc this? Do I know for sure? That's another thing. You can do damage calcs if you want to during the match. Like, I don't think it's frowned upon. Obviously, if you do it for every turn, it becomes problematic because two things. Don't do that. Do your prep properly, and you won't have to. And second of all, it takes a long time. Like, your match goes way longer. If that's why these matches are going as long as they are, don't do that, guys. Like, like some matches go really long, some don't. Don't do damage calcs all the time. And if you want to, we can't stop you. At least have all of the Pokemon saved in your damage calc sheet. That way you can reference quickly. So if you want to go ahead and do damage calcs every turn, don't. But again, fine. Don't let me know about it. And by not letting me know about it, I mean don't take too long. Right. So it's not recommended that you do it a lot. Every once in a while, hey, does this kill from 70%? If I use this move, it's more accurate. It's something like that, right? Yeah, I want to see if I can finish this thing off with like its last 10% or something, right? With this Shadow Sneak or something, right? Those calcs, I think those are fine. It's just when you do every move, it takes a while and things like that. But I do think during the match, take your time. Don't go crazy with time. Think your scenarios. Ask yourself your good questions. How do I win here? Like the one that you had, Jay. Like, is this still the plan? Things like that. There's nothing wrong with taking a little extra time. Nothing wrong at all. I think everybody's prepped an entire week for it. I think you can take 20 minutes to half an hour for your match in total, right? But when it gets to 40 minutes, 50 minutes, it's okay. But I'm talking half an hour for a 3-game set. I'm not talking 2 games. 2 games should take 15 minutes, right? It shouldn't take that long. 15, 20 minutes. But so that would be one of them. We actually tied together about 5 of these points in one.
Yeah,
so
we did.
It's kind of nice. 2 more things that I wanted to touch on that were just things that might help you as well. I know it sounds really lame and cliche. Breathe. So I find when people get really nervous, everyone I've talked to in this league gets nervous for their matches. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody always has a little bit of nerves. And I don't think it's because we're all like, soft or whatever it is, and we're on lack of confidence. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that everyone cares so much that this is the match. It's almost like everyone's playing a playoff match every week. Everyone's really nervous. Like, everything's on the line. I have to win this week. And even in the weeks that at the end, week 8, guys are like, I'm already locked in. I have to win this week. It's like, dude, you're already in. Relax a bit. No, I have to win. So my advice to you, breathe. So physically, your brain works less effectively when there is a lack of oxygen. It just does.
Works. Yep.
That's how it works. So what's the first thing people say when you're hyperventilating and stuff like that? Breathe.
Take a deep breath.
take a deep breath. It's not just a cliche. People say take a deep breath. Take a deep breath means remember to breathe, right?
Yes.
And when we tense up naturally, our bodies just don't breathe naturally. Take full breaths, relax, tell yourself it's just a game, trying to have fun, which is our next point. Have fun.
Yes.
If you're not here to have
Take it too
fun,
seriously.
we're not going to lead you to the big leagues, guys. This is, if you're not here to have fun, guys, like, yeah, we all want to compete and we all want to win and we're all dicks and stuff like that when it comes to like wanting to win. And I get it. We all want to win. We're all competitive. Have fun. Like when it comes down to why do we do this? Why are we in the league? We're not in here to win because there's no prizes. So we're in here for bragging rights, but at the same time, we enjoy it. We all enjoy Pokemon.
Yep.
We all have fun, or try to. Sometimes it's not easy to have fun when things go your way, like hacks, which we actually skipped over.
Yeah, actually, that was the one that I was going to try to get back to.
Take it, Jay.
I think not even just hacks. I think one thing I've noticed that happens a lot, and I mean I've done it before too, is when something bad happens, whether it's hacks, you get stuck in paralysis, or you get that 3-turn sleep, whatever it is,
or something just doesn't go to plan,
or you miss a will-o-wisp. Like that's like your whole plan is I'm going to burn this thing, and because it's burned, now I'm going to live this attack. Well, your will-o-wisp missed and you die.
And you die. Yeah.
Or it's just either you made a bad play or they made a really good play. You double it into a max guard or something. I see a lot of times when something bad happens, the rest of the match, that person's moves don't make any sense. And I know I've been there, and I know you're like, you just are like, you kind of throw your hands in the air, like, well, screw it. I've lost now. That
There's
was the
always
turn.
a chance to win.
Well, generally.
No, even when it's like bleak,
Yeah.
we always throw around the word throw. You threw, they threw, everyone threw, throw God, this and that. We always say throw. There is always a chance for someone to throw at any point, even when it's like 4-1. If you nasty plot and they switch or something and you're faster, you could 4-0 them, right? So there is always a situation where you could win, and obviously if you have no attacking moves, you can't win. I get it. But
No, and I think the biggest thing that I just wanted to throw out there is, just shrug it off and try to make the next best play.
Yep.
If nothing else, honestly, make the next best play so you get 1-0'd instead of 3-0'd, and that might come into play later on. I mean, kill death, I don't think we've had a situation where kill death comes into play, but maybe you're going up against that person in tiebreakers in the future, and you're like, well, I'd rather him have a 1-0 than a 3-0. And it goes back to that take your time. Like, just because you think you threw or something bad happened, take your time and be like, okay, well, how can I battle back from this? What needs to happen for me to come back? I mean, I can give you one example. I quote unquote threw against Octo in game 3 when I misclicked and used Floral Healing instead of Draining Kiss. I could have easily just thrown my hands up and said, crap, well, I guess he took this one. This is the end of the match for me. But I was like, well, I'm going to do my best, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back from that. That was a bad mistake. That might have caused me to lose. But I'm going to do my best to come back and see if I can make a game out of this. And I was able to win that game.
And you did.
And I think even in mid-game, I think, something bad could happen. You lose to hacks game 1. And you see guys come back game 2, and like I said, they're being wild with their play because that
Rattled.
Something happened. They're rattled. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Or they got the yips,
Rattled.
to use a baseball term.
There you go. And you just start playing poorly because of something that happened in the past.
Yep.
There's that quick to forget thing. Like, okay, that sucked. Let's move on and let's see if I can bring this back. Let's see if I can bring this match back. I lost game 1 in a terrible way.
How do I win here?
How do I win this next game? And trying to just always think forward in matches. I think is crucial.
Yeah, this is all gold. If you're not taking notes, you don't even like Pokemon. If you're not taking notes.
Clearly.
So let's get to the not so much negative, but stuff that I think we all need to consider, which is really easy to forget and really easy to forget or not remember. really lame way to put it. But no, it's when we're in a match, there's a lot of things that we get caught up in: excitement, disappointment, things like that. Going, man, the segues are so good today, Jay. We're on fire. Like when it comes down to emotions, sometimes they get the better of you and stuff like that. And we forget all these things. So I want to start on, like when it comes to what you start with. So week one, the week starts that you're in, such as the playoffs or whatever, you got to prepare, right?
Yep.
And if you're not preparing, you're not respecting your opponent, and you're also not respecting the league. I understand sometimes weeks get busy and you have lack of time to prepare. I'm not talking about that. That is completely fine. Like, for example, Jay, you prepped as much as you could before you went on holiday, and it wasn't enough, right? Which happens, right? Life comes first, and then WPL comes second above everything else, such as kids. And so, of course. No, but
I can tell you my other 7 weeks, I definitely prepared.
Exactly. And I think preparing, everybody prepares their own way and stuff like that. I think preparing 5 minutes before a match is not, respectful to your opponent. And I think that other people would want to play that are willing to put in more effort than 5 minutes. You know, a lot of guys, obviously some guys, they have hours and hours and hours to put into it, which some people might not. And that's fine, right? If your opponent has the time to do it and you don't, that's fine. But I think we can all offer 5 more minutes, more than 5 minutes. That's one thing I just wanted to touch on. I've heard it from a handful of people, it's not even just 1 or 2 guys. It's a bunch of guys, whether or not it's, they don't think the match matters, or they have other better things to do, things like that, or they have other leagues to worry about, right? It's I think everybody needs to take the time to give your best, and not to mention, if we really want to get into like real like pep talk kind of stuff, why would you not want to do your best? Like I take pride in everything I do, and yes, it's just a Pokemon League. I get it. And we all, this is just for fun, but why wouldn't you try your best? That's me, right? Like I try really hard and I want to win at everything. If I don't win, that means the other person may have wanted it more. It just didn't go that way. But I think preparing is respect your opponent by preparing, respect your position in the league by preparing more than 5 minutes as well. And again, I'm not talking about being too busy here and there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm also not talking about putting 12 hours a week in. I'm talking about maybe an hour,
Just
an hour of solid time. I think that should be bare minimum.
Figure out what you want to do ahead of time. I think
have a plan.
Also, it's just more fun to face against somebody who also put in some time.
Yes, you can tell sometimes when your opponent didn't prepare, and it's it takes a little bit away from your win, which we'll touch on in a bit as well, taking away from your opponent's win and stuff like that. But the next thing involved, so preparing is one. You could actually put this one before preparing, scheduling.
Yep.
You got to schedule your, like, literally as soon as my match is done with my opponent the previous week. I guess I can't say literally because it's not all the time, but message your next week's opponent. Hey, I'm done my match. Maybe Monday morning, just say, hey, when are you free this week? What's your schedule like? And have that conversation. First of all, the conversation bare minimum needs to happen early in the week, preferably.
Right.
Everyone needs to know what your week looks like, because if I'm only available Monday or Tuesday and you get a hold of me on Monday, we might not be able to get our match in.
Yeah.
Obviously that's really specific, but
yeah, I think, like you said there, I think just even having that, like, pretty much Monday, occasionally I forget on Monday, might have been Tuesday, I at least reach out and just say, hey, what does your week look like? What days are for sure no? Like, hey, I can't do this day. All right, that's good to know. Well, I think that's a great place to start is when can you just not
what doesn't work? Yep.
And then all right, well, here's the rest of it. This time would work really good for me. What about you? Well, I don't know if I can go that early. I get off work, right before that, and I want a little bit of time. But that's fair. But start the conversation early, and sometimes it's even, I think Thursday or Friday afternoon both look really good for both of us.
Let's wait and see when we get closer. Do we have a backup time?
I'll message you on Wednesday, and we'll set a more definite time, or even Thursday morning. Hey, does today still sound good? And I think that's the biggest thing is just start getting those plans earlier in the week, because like you said, what you don't want to do is be like, okay, I can go, Friday or Saturday, and but I can't really do Sunday. And you reach out to your opponent on Thursday, and they're like, "Oh, well, I
I
can
don't
only
know.
do Sunday. I can't do the next couple days."
Or
We
better yet,
probably
oh,
should
I've
have
got
went
this thing.
today, and
I can't do Friday. Saying a day, just I think picking a day. Hey,
Right.
sometimes it's, hey, you know what? I think this day looks good. Does it look good for you? Okay, let's touch base the day before, and then is it still
Right.
good? Then we'll put in a time. I think picking a day is step one. Which
Right.
day do you want to do? Because this whole like, yeah, let's go on the weekend at some point. I don't like that. I don't.
I agree.
Because like, how is anybody supposed to plan for that? Because what if something happens on Tuesday where you're like, hey, I got this party on Saturday. You want to go? Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm open. And meanwhile, you don't relay that to your opponent, and he thinks that Saturday's an option, and he has Friday booked, and Sunday's not available. So it's like, he's hoping Saturday, and meanwhile, you just made plans, things like that. So I think just picking a day, and like I like to compare it to if you played in an actual league. Say you wanted to play baseball or soccer, whatever. You have a schedule literally given to you. Tuesday, 7 p.m., this field, you're playing.
Right.
Like you make. That's your schedule, and we don't do that here. I kind of want to sometimes, but this is your schedule. You will show up at this time, which could happen later, but we'll see. But that's that. We're not going to do that. You guys play when you want.
Right.
So
But
that pretty much
communicate.
leads.
Also, communicate. Just communicate with your opponent throughout the week. If something comes up,
I haven't
like, hey,
pushed that in a while.
we, hey, something came up. Now I can't do Saturday at all. I said we could do, sometime. I'm good Thursday through Saturday. Hey, now I can't do Saturday.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just
whatever
talk.
happens to
That's
be.
all it is. Just talk. It's as simple as that. Talk, pick a day, and most importantly, stick to the time you agree to.
And do it early.
Well, just whatever time you guys agree to, just do that. I think there was one opponent, or not opponent, but there was one player I kind of said, hey, when are you playing your match? And he says, I think it's this time. I'm like, are you sure? That he's like, yeah. Okay, if you don't do that time, you will forfeit.
Yeah.
Because there have been way too many times this season where it's been very difficult to schedule with. And unfortunately, I did have to, sit that person down and just be like, look, this can't happen. Right? It's very important because like you have people all across the world. We got people in Brazil, we got Netherlands, we got West Coast of the US. The time zone difference could be 13 hours. Well, not quite. When it comes to 6 and so 9 hours difference, right?
Yep.
So that's a big variance, right? Next season we got a guy from Australia, Melbourne. So we have even more. Yes, he's going to do his best to accommodate us, because he's the outlier. But and I've already talked to him about that, so that's not an issue. But yeah, I think we just whatever time we agree to, stick to it. And if things come up, let them know. Life happens. But every week, if something comes up, come on. It's not every week. Things come up, not every week. But anyway, I've beaten that like a dead horse, like a dead glacier. Ha.
Ooh.
Anyway,
foreshadowing.
No, Shadow's a good player. Yeah, that's
I
bouncing.
thought you were gonna say something about Shadow Horse.
No, I went with the player.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about scheduling. So when you're in the battle, try not to take too much time. We've had a couple matches this season that have gone 45 minutes. That's not really fair to your opponent. Like, we put aside half an hour here and there, if it goes over, sometimes we chat after and stuff like that. But you also have people watching too.
Right.
For like I think one time we had people sitting there for like 6 or 7 minutes for one move. And it was just like, what is happening right now? Like this is, I know we don't set timers, and I don't think I'm quite there yet where we set timers on people and stuff like that. So, so if you didn't know, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Don't do damage calcs every turn. Think about what you need to do. Take your time, but at the same time, if you need to set a clock, do it, right? I think in-game, in Sword and Shield, 45 seconds. That's how much time you get.
Yep.
We don't set that here. If you're taking over a minute, okay, fine. Take a minute. Any more than a minute, let's go. Come on, let's go.
And if it's, and we've talked before too about like it's a really crucial point in the match. Like we really need to get this move right. If that one takes like 2 minutes, okay, but not every single turn. Like the lead shouldn't take 2 minutes. Then the next turn takes a minute. The next one takes 3 minutes. You're like, okay,
let's figure it out.
How much is happening here? Like this isn't a huge part of the match yet. Every move is important, obviously, but like there's some times where it's like, oh my gosh, these players need to call their opponent just right here. Both of them do, and they both
Yeah.
might take a while. But yeah, not every turn is that high stakes. And
I have a feeling the playoffs are going to be a little bit of that, but they are. It's like baseball, for example. Games are 3 hours or a little bit less than that. I don't know if you noticed, but some of the games in the playoffs this week have been over 4.
yeah,
And I think it's just because the stakes are high and things like that. So we just wanted to remind you guys that take your time, but not too much time. Just keep in mind, I get it. Right, we already touched it. So spectators, there is something that I need you guys to do. Don't chat in the match.
yes,
When the match is going on, we have general chat. We have the live stream chat as well. What's it called specifically? VC chat. Talk in there because the players that are battling, they're distracted. We've seen a couple of things like, oh, is he going to do this move? Now you're affecting the match.
right,
I don't know if that's happened too often, but I just know that it could happen and things like that, and being distraction. Some guys don't mind it and they're really chill about it. Some guys, they really want to concentrate, which is fair. I try to not pay attention to the chat and stuff like that. But yeah, so in the chat, try not to join and just watch. And then after talk, we do have a Discord for that. So that's one thing I really, really want you guys to do if you guys are watching. If you're active in there, just do me a favor and just do this one thing, because just respect your opponents and your other players and stuff like that. So that's that one. One, don't quit.
please,
And that's
for
not-
the love of everything.
That's not being, don't quit. Give 110%. That's not the don't quit I'm talking about. I'm talking about don't forfeit. Don't forfeit the match ever, because it messes up with the stats. It makes everything changes. You're taking kills away from your opponent. You get the same amount of deaths. It takes away tiebreakers in the regular season. Obviously, the playoffs, there's no tiebreakers, but just don't, because just finish. If you need to use the same move over and over and over so you don't reveal any strategies or anything, just do it.
Right. If you're helping handing and you only have one Pokemon left, just helping hand the rest of the game. Like, just
Yeah, I've literally done that before. I'm like, it's game 1. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm just gonna protect over and over, and it'll be funny because it takes longer if I get 3 protects in a row. But at the same time, you don't want to spoil anything, so I get it. Strategically, you do want to quit, but at the same time, in respect to your opponent, don't quit. Simple as that. Don't quit. It's not a rule. Just don't quit. The last and maybe most important one is, I've noticed this, and we talked about emotions getting the best of us and being all excited and sad and things like that, but I'm going to start with win with grace. What does that mean, Jay? It means when you win, remember that your opponent is probably not thrilled with losing. So when you come in general chat after and say, wow, I beat the crap out of him, this Pokemon did well, why would you do that? That's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And you're just feeling the high of the win, but you're also making your opponent feel like absolute dog blank.
Yeah,
And
I think there's like gloating doesn't necessarily.
It's not even intentional most of the time.
It usually isn't. You're right. You just
It's
come
not.
in, and sometimes you are on top of the world. You're like, oh my gosh, I am so happy with how that match went.
Yep.
Oh my,
Which
I
is
was
fair.
so nervous. I was, but remember, especially if your opponent is sitting there too, that it's especially in the age, and in the way we have it, we're over Discord, nobody has their cameras on or anything. Like, it's hard to remember. Like, imagine doing that with your opponent sitting in the room next to you. You probably wouldn't come in,
You get knocked out.
blow through the door and be like, I got you. Like,
Yeah, I don't think anybody sits here after a match and intentionally goes, wow, you played terribly. You suck real bad. I beat the crap. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. But you know what they do is they do what we were just talking about. They say, man, that was awesome. The strategy worked. I can't believe it worked. It was so gimmicky, this and that. Your opponent's hearing all this going,
did you see
man,
Moltres live on like 2%? Oh my gosh, I'm so lucky.
I think you guys can talk about the match, no problem. I just think all I'm saying is, like, I'm not even going to say don't say this, don't say that. I'm just going to say just remember what your opponent who just lost may be feeling.
Right.
If I just lost, would I want to hear this in the moment? Probably not. So just say, good game. You played well. If they didn't play well, don't lie. Just be like, hey, that was fun. If it wasn't fun, don't say that was fun. You know what I mean? Just, just like, hey, how are you feeling after this match? I like to ask guys, hey, how are you feeling? You feeling all right? How do you think you played? Some guys say, like, I don't feel like I played well. It's like, I think you've been better before, but I think you're still a really good player. Things like that. Like the typical interview stuff. You know what? My opponent gave 110%, prepped properly. But I think at the same time, we forget in the moment how with the excitement and the opposite, the disappointment, which leads us to our first point was win with grace, lose with grace. What does lose with grace mean? Well, the exact kind of the same, but on the other end. So when you lose, your opponent that just won is happy, right?
Right.
When you lose, obviously you're upset. We all know. Everybody knows you're upset. Nobody's happy about winning. Losing. Sorry, nobody's happy about losing. So when you lose and start listing all the reasons why you lost and excusing yourself, people don't need to know how bad I am, right? It's like, man, I played really bad. Everyone must think I'm really bad. How can I let them know that I'm not bad at this game? Well, let's tell them that maybe I was too busy this week. Maybe I prepped for 5 minutes before the match. Maybe I just didn't care. Things like that. Those things diminish your opponent's win.
Right.
Because when you win, you're happy, right? Everyone's happy when they win, right? Sometimes they don't care because they do it all the time. Vitor. When you win too much, it's not fun anymore. No, but no, I think losing, go into the chat if you want to and say, look, good game. I feel like I could have played better, things like that, man. And talk about the game, your turns, this and that. But I just think, again, on the other side, we were just talking about, keep in mind how the loser might be feeling in the moment. Keep in mind how the winner might feel by you diminishing their win.
Yeah. You're saying, well, you only won because of this.
Yes, which is not what anybody wants to hear. When I prep all week and I win, no one really did. I'm not calling anybody out specifically that has done this to me. It's just stuff I've noticed coming into the chat and, like saying, I lost because of hacks. It's just, what's the person that won feels? Well, so does that mean I didn't earn my win? Does that mean I just won because of luck? I've literally heard someone this season say you won because you got lucky. I'm like, whoa. That's not what you want to hear when you win. So keep in mind, I know it's really, really hard to do because emotions get the best of us. So win with grace. Keep in mind what the loser might be feeling in the moment. Say, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to say, good game. That was a lot of fun. And talk about the match. And if you lost, try not to make them feel like dog crap, whatever it is, when you lose for winning. Things like that. So
yep.
I know it was a really lame WPL Academy, and if you stuck around for the whole thing, I think this just applies for VGC, applies to any game, anywhere in life. It's not even like, make sure you prepare for your Pokemon match when you're on the golf course. No, it's just in life, there are winners and losers at things. Like you're not going to get that job. You're not going to, things are going to happen. You're not going to get the girlfriend you want sometimes, or the boyfriend, whatever it is. So it's like, are you going to make the person that got the job ahead of you feel like crap? Well, you got it because you know this guy. You know what I mean? Or are you going to say, congratulations, I think you're going to have a lot of fun at this job, right? Just in life in general, we have fun in the league, but at the same time, a lot of things are translated. So I'm not going to bore you guys anymore with this lame WPL Academy, but I think that was definitely needed to be said. What do you think, Jay?
No, I think all that is true. And we're out here to have fun.
Yep.
And I think there have been times where, you go, we'll be in VC after a match and, you come in and both players come in after their match and, somebody will say something, you're like, oh, why did you have to say that? Like, just chill. Just don't say that. I win and lose, and I'm pretty sure everybody's probably done it. I'm sure I have.
Oh, my goodness.
Me on it, but
I just thought of something, dude. When somebody loses, if you didn't play, don't tell them how bad they were.
Yeah.
When somebody loses, if you didn't play in the match, don't tell somebody that they should have done this, they should have done that, and like they already feel like crap. Don't make them feel like even crappier.
Yeah. And also, just to throw this out there, the first thing you say to someone when they come in is, why did you do this move? No matter how genuine that might be, it definitely sounds accusatory in the moment, and it probably, I mean, it kind of is. Like, well, if I would have done something different, so why did you do this? No matter the way you say that, is always going to be taken as
Condescending.
And it is hard though, because sometimes it really is like, man, I really want to know why he made that move.
Yeah,
Like, I
there
don't know
are
what's going through his
ways.
head. And I also
always
think
like,
that
yeah,
there's different people too. There's understand who your opponent is and was and who is playing. I'll tell you right now, I will pretty much always welcome that question. I don't particularly care because I feel like I'll always have a good reasoning why, and sometimes it doesn't come up. There are certain guys that I don't think that the moment they lost is the best time. There's some guys that I'm
that's
like,
me.
the next day I'll be like, hey, why did you do this? Actually, I would say that's a decent point. I don't usually ask you immediately after your matches
Yeah, don't.
why
I'm
you did
upset.
something.
I lost.
but a couple days later, when we're just chatting and maybe we're going over the matches,
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, I'm just curious what your thought process was here because it didn't make sense to me to make this move.
And it helps us all get better.
Right.
I think in the end, it needs to happen. The conversation, I think if we want to get better, if the goal is to get better, I think ignoring those and running from those conversations is not good. I like to do it in the moment. I like to not really talk about it. It's like, hey, why'd you do this? And I'm like, dude, I just lost. All these things just happened just now, or I just won. Yeah. Like, I remember week 1, it was like, why did you do this? I'm like, I don't know. I won. And then, after it was just like, no, this happened. This was the situation. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now that I remember that specific situation, this is why I did that, but in the moment, sometimes I don't remember. Like everybody knows about my memory. It's terrible.
Well, especially like if after a long 3-game set,
Yep.
someone's like, hey, back in game 1, why'd you do this?
I don't know.
I don't even remember doing that. So.
I won. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I was too busy winning and wrecking. Anyway, but yeah, that's so. I think that's all really important. And hey, the good things. We started with the good things. We probably should have started with the bad things, but maybe we shouldn't have because people would have just skipped it. No, but the good things, I think those are really good practices to put in place, like taking your time. Don't let hacks get the best of you, your emotion. Ask yourself questions. How do I win? Things like that. Breathe and try to have fun, guys. Those are a lot of things that are really helpful. When you play, and then all those other things, if you want the proper etiquette, just things to keep in mind. Love is pretty much what really explains all of it. If for example, if you love your opponent and you're trying to keep in mind what they might be thinking, well, you need to prepare, right? Because I want to give them a good match. They're going to prepare, so I'm going to prepare. Scheduling properly. Well, I love them, so I want to make sure that they aren't inconvenienced by me. Taking too much time in between moves. Oh, well, I don't want to inconvenience them and make them be here longer than... You know what I mean? Like, all of these things have to do with caring about the other opponent, right?
Right.
And caring about other people. And I think just a little thought, just a little tap on your own shoulder saying, hey, this is a person too, and how could they be feeling right now? I'm not saying treat them like snowflakes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if everybody just thinks about other people in the moment, I think that would be a really, really good thing. And I think everybody would have a lot more fun. Moving on to our favorite segment ever, Pick'ems.
Really just the conclusion of the Pick'ems, right?
I hate Pick'ems. This was a terrible idea, Jay.
It was a great idea. Great idea.
Yeah, I lost. Surprise. Moving on. No. J172, he guessed correctly 7 of the 8 weeks, and the week he lost, he wasn't even there.
Accurate.
Yep. So yeah, he did really well. I was picking my favorites rather than who I thought was gonna win and stuff like that.
I was being a tryhard, but
going back to our last segment, I think, when you don't even try, I didn't try at all. So of course you won,
Are you taking away mentioning my victory? Is that what you're doing?
Intentionally for effect. No, but no, you picked really, really well. I think sometimes it's just a coin toss when it comes to picking some of these matches. But hey, you guessed them right, and you're better at me than at Pokemon. Better than me at Pokemon. I think that's right. Yes.
Well,
the champ.
Better seat than I am.
The defending champ.
That's true.
Is on the crappy red side, blue side. Blue side.
See, you don't even remember. That's the greatest.
I don't even remember. I don't even think it matters. End of the season. How close were we? Predictions, kills. I picked Metagross. You picked Mega Charizard Y. One of us was a whole lot closer than the other.
Yep, that's accurate.
Metagross was number 3 in kills.
I believe it was tied for third. Yes.
A space would say three. No, but I thought that was it was a good pick, the Metagross, and it got close. I just think it didn't come as much as I was hoping it would. When Justin had it that season, it came every single week, and it Dynamaxed every single week and got a lot of kills. So Charizard Y, I think, was a little bit of a disappointment, but when you prepare for it really hard, I think it was definitely smart to bring it situationally and not every week. So I think he played it right. I just think it just didn't do what we thought. Deaths. I thought Charizard Y was going to play more, and I thought would be KO'd, get a bunch of kills, but also get KO'd a lot, which was not the case because it didn't play enough. Which goes the same for your pick, Whimsicott.
Yep.
Barely saw the field.
Barely saw the field. Yep. And
his first round pick.
Shadow knows how we feel about that. We've been rising him all season about that.
Well, I had it. I drafted it season 2. You drafted it season 3 because I told you to, and season 4 I also told Shadow to get it. So
yes,
if you're looking for a great first round pick, everybody, talk to me. I got one you'll never guess. I have something in mind. You got to be like top 5 or 6 picks though in order to get it.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
If you're bottom, don't talk to me. I have no plans. Support moves. Indeedee was near the top actually. I think it had like 29 support moves, so I think it was third.
It was
like
third.
That.
Yep. Third place. 30.
So I'm awfully close. Ensign played a lot, but also did a lot more killing than we thought it would.
Yeah, and it actually had half as many. It was in there. It was definitely a support mon, but it was it used a lot more attacking moves. I think it's intimidates. If those count as support moves, it would have been up there. But
I think that's right. That's one of the big things it supports is with its intimidate. So it's not using the move. So maybe it was a poor pick on your side, Jay. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
It was the first overall pick.
Hey, speaking of poor picks, should we go?
No, we're not gonna. We're gonna skip best duo. Hold on, but you know what we're not doing? Who was the kill leader? Who was the death leader? Who had the most support moves? We're missing that. I guess we could just amalgamate that into this. We were gonna do it at the end, but so I said Metagross, you said Charizard for kills. The actual kill leader was Moltres, which was 2 ahead of the closest pick we had.
Yes.
Good guess. Good guess. Deaths, the most deaths. I actually don't remember who this was.
It was Mega
Mawile. Where was Charizard on that list? I think it was like 20th. So it was not super close. It only played in. It played in 11 games actually.
Yeah, but you talk about like Mega Mawile came to 19 games, so
yeah.
It definitely had more opportunity to die.
Yeah, Charizard didn't die in every game. I think the rate too. Like, what was the highest? Actually, let's look. Highest kill rate
was Metagross.
Hey, look at that. Okay, well, obviously Pun was a little higher.
Qualified, yeah.
Yeah, like 4 games doesn't count. So Metagross played in 9 games. The other ones played like 4, 2, whatever. They don't count. Metagross was ahead of Moltres for the kills per game. So that's something.
That last week killed me.
Let me just change this prediction title to kills per game. Wow, I'm right. Oh, I did it on the deaths.
Bam.
Oh man, deaths per game. Let's see where we're at.
Well, deaths per game.
Most. Let's see.
Did anybody die every single game?
Oh, yeah. We had a bunch of people tied for first. I think based on how much was played, I think Clefable played the most games that had a 100% death rate. Yes, it was.
Gyarados was up there.
Well, Clefable played 13 games and Gyarados was 11, and they both died the same rate, but Clefable died more.
Yeah.
Clefable's actually a good pick for deaths because it just eats hits, right? With redirection. So maybe Indeedee and stuff like that would have been a good pick too for us. But no, we wanted to just rip into Charizard and Whimsicott. Support moves. We said that we picked Indeedee female and also Ensign. Indeedee female finished 3rd. Ensign finished about 15th or 16th.
Yes.
Yes.
And Cottony took the crown on that one. Cottony with 36 support moves.
Who would have expected it?
I would have expected it. Well, I'm surprised to see it up there. I think you look at the top 3 especially. I'm not super surprised with any of those 3.
Yeah, Umbreon as well, yeah.
But
yeah, Latias got a look this season too. It's the first time it's been used, actually. Latias and Latios.
Yep.
I think Latias was the only one picked. That was not the Mega. So that was nice to see that one get used, and I think it got some notice this season. I think people realized how supportive those things are, and not to mention how offensive they can be. So I think they're going to get some looks
just
next
to throw
season.
this out there, actually, the second most was Sableye, not Umbreon.
Oh, because it was a free agent.
Because it was 20, had 28 support moves with Sapphire and 6 with me, which gave it 34 overall. So
Actually, hold on a second. You're right. Okay, so looking at both of them side by side, did a little bit better on your team because it went 2-1. Didn't get any kills. The death rate was so it did die a little bit more. So no, we sometimes we forget because there was a free agent move and something was dropped and then picked up, which doesn't happen all the time. Right. So that was a good catch, Jay. So Sableye actually finished second.
Yep.
Ooh, should that have been? Ooh, do we need to add that to support moves?
Support moves, maybe.
But it also finished. You know what? Indeedee wasn't on there as well, and it had a better win percentage. So even with the wins, I think it goes 4 and 7. Yep. So yeah, it had a lot, but it didn't. So it's good point, Jay. I know, right? Let's skip over best duos. I thought for some reason I must have been on some recreational help of some kind or lack of help, because I picked Lando I with Tapu Koko. I thought that was going to be a really nice duo, but it's really hard to pick duos because sometimes the best ones. But yours, T-Tar Excadrill, was actually nominated for best duo.
It was, and I remember even when I made it, I knew that it wasn't like an exciting pick. It was one of the obvious ones.
Boring.
And see what it's at.
Yeah, and we'll get into the nominations for the awards as we wrap up in just a minute or two. But as for the player predictions, I picked Kyogre Canucks. He didn't even make the playoffs. He wasn't the top record or the champion. But Spider Phantom Troop for top record is incorrect, but it was a playoff team. Dublin Delmise is the only thing still in the running for the champion. So, Jay, let's see if your pick pans out. And I think he definitely has a shot. He's improved every season he's played. So we'll have to see how he kind of plays out. Hopefully he doesn't beat me in the second round. Wait, no, he's in your side.
He's on the blue side, which is the better side.
He's on the weaker side. Okay, so finals. Yeah, he's on that blue side. Yeah. Anyway, so we already went through the stat leaders, things like that. Very cool. I just want to go through before we leave today is the nominations for the awards. We usually don't talk about this because I try not to influence anything, but how else am I going to have things win that I want?
That's right.
So the best Mega, the nominations were Mega Latias, Mega Manectric, and Mega Lucario. This one was hard to pick because they all were pretty bad, which we'll just kind of back up for a second, just to give you guys an idea of how the Megas went. Week 8, they went 8 kills, 11 deaths. But throughout the whole season, 101 kills, 130 deaths. Pretty much what I was expecting.
Yep.
I don't know. I knew they wouldn't be super impactful. I thought it would have been more 50-50 when it came to kills and deaths. I didn't think they'd have a huge impact. But, just 101 kills, 130 deaths. That's a pretty poor kill death. For things that are considered overpowered for the most part. We saw some decent ones, which we were highlighting in the best Mega category. Mega Latias was used in a support role. Only used 4 games, though, but it just goes to show you that there wasn't a whole lot to choose from when it comes to the Megas. We had to pick 3, at least 3. And
so it was hard.
One that barely played was nominated because its stats were good, but small sample size. So, it's actually in the lead right now in the running, with 6 votes or 5 votes because all of mine are 1 vote. I just have to get the emoji there or the reaction there. Mega Manectric had a really good season, going 8 wins, 4 losses. Didn't have the kill death it wanted, but it was used in a lot of support and offense, so kind of mixed. Mega Lucario, I don't know why it's there. It's more so just because we didn't have a whole lot to choose from. The last week of the season, week 7 that it came definitely put a damper on its stats. It was 5-0 before then, and then week 7 it lost both games, getting 2 deaths and maybe 1 kill or something. But so it's pretty much a 2-man race right now, or a 2 Pokemon race, Latias and Manectric. So get your votes in. A tier. Excadrill, Darmanitan, and Porygon 2. This seems to be pretty much all but over.
Yep, Excadrill I think is running away with this one.
Yeah, not like the other Pokemon weren't very good, but when you have something so good next to, it was just Excadrill and everybody else. Excadrill gets 13 kills, 2 deaths, accumulating a 7-2 record when it played. So very, very impressive. Darmanitan, very, very impressive as well. 15 kills, 7 deaths. Not quite the ratio as Excadrill, but an 8-3 record,
Still impressive.
It's still impressive as well. Porygon 2 was used in many different roles. I thought it was really awesome that he used it as a Trick Room setter, a pain in the butt, and also when it got that download boost on the special side, it just kind of Dynamaxed and went off. Only one on this list with the passive kill. No one's looking at it.
That's why I voted for it.
Yeah. So place your votes for that. Best B tier, Slowbro definitely played the most. So those numbers are a little inflated, but still, if you're used a lot, it means that you must be a cornerstone of that team. So actually a midseason pickup for him, actually. So he fell in love with that thing quick. Slowbro, Umbreon on the list for top support as well, so I can see that being there. And Mudsdale having an impressive 12 kills, 2 deaths. Only one less kill than Excadrill, and it's got all the votes, and Mudsdale doesn't have any, so isn't that kind of funny?
That's an odd one. Definitely think Mudsdale deserves probably more than definitely deserves more than it's getting right now.
The no votes, yeah. So we'll have to see how that. And you guys, I don't know when I'm going to finalize the voting. Probably the end of the playoffs, I would imagine, because why not? And but get those votes in. Best C tier, we have Gallade with that very, very good move pool and the justified ability, giving it offensive and support capabilities. Going 12 kills, 5 deaths, 3 support moves. Not the best win-loss, 3 wins, 4 losses, but that kill death definitely got it a sniff in this category. Salazzle, 3 kills, 6 deaths, 6 support moves, but that record 7-1. That thing was just very, very supportive when it came to just getting the odd kill, will-o-wisping, things like that. But it was also on a bunch of winning teams,
Well, I mean, and just to give my own Pokemon a little love here, I noticed whenever I brought it, it was always one of the first things people targeted.
Yeah,
so
it's scary.
It doesn't have a ton of support moves, but in part because everyone was so scared of it, they just got rid of it right away, which just opened up whatever was next to it. It wasn't going to get hit because they were always going to the other one.
Well, I think it might have something to do with it being really frail as well. Like, it's really easy to KO, so getting that thing off the field is it's like killing a weaker Mon just to kind of get it off, so you don't have to worry about 3 of his Mons. So, but it is very, very good offensively and support-wise, and it's really fast too. So I'm actually surprised it only had 6 support moves, to be honest.
Me too, but
we might have to recount that. But yeah, a lot of heat waves, things like that. They just did a lot of damage. But leading the way in this category is Dragalge right now. Didn't play a ton, but it played enough. 8 kills, 4 deaths. Definitely benefited from early in the season with that skill swap, getting 222 speed from Alakazam. Holy crap. With that Life Orb, racked up some kills nice and early. Got a 3-2 record at the end of the season. But that being said, his team that he played for, the coach that played for, finished 3-5. So having a winning record on a losing record team is definitely something to consider, which is probably why it's leading the way with 6 votes currently from the league. But we'll see how it plays out in the end. One of the more interesting categories, I think, right now is the best D tier. It's really a 2 Pokemon race right now. Mr. Mime was very good for Vitor, got a couple key kills, Dynamaxed it once, things like that, and got a few support moves. So it's there. I thought it did really well. 4-0 win-loss record, very good. But Morpeko and Cottony. Cottony being the support moves leader this season with 36. A D tier Mon leading the way with 36 support moves. That just goes to show how broken Prankster is.
Yes.
And combined with a very, very nice move pool leads to 36 support moves, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's one that it does a very good job of. It's one of those pick your poison Mons where it's like, do I want to start going after the thing that's really threatening me, or the thing that I think a lot of people, especially early in the season, would kind of ignore it. Not necessarily ignore it, but they're like, I can deal with that in a little bit. Let me deal with the main threat. And that was a big mistake. I mean, I just look at my matches against it. It was literally the first thing I attacked every single game. So I knew I wanted that thing off the field as quickly as possible. And because if you don't, it compounds. It gets better and better as the match goes on.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then more Pico being there as well. Kind of a sneaky entrance into this category. Didn't lose a game that it played. Didn't 3-3 record. 3-3 kill death. 7 support moves. You know, it kind of gets a little bit of everything. But 8-0. It definitely did its job. It led to a bunch of wins on my team this season, so that was really cool. Very, very close. 3 votes to 5 votes right now. Cottony leading the way, but there's still some time. Go more Pico. That would be my vote. Everybody needs to vote for more Pico. But no, Cottony leading the league in support moves is definitely noteworthy. So I think if it ends up winning, rightfully so. These are fun little things too. They don't really have any effect on. We document it. You know, best D tier, best A tier, all that stuff. There is a history that I have going in the career stat sheet. So very neat stuff. Best S tier, I had to add this one because I forgot it in the list. So best S tier, no surprises. Metagross, Moltres, Galarian, and Cinderace, all over the 20 kill mark. Some of them have better kill deaths than the others when it comes to Metagross. No, but when you die very little, I think that's very important as well. And also win-loss record, Metagross being 7-2 definitely looks pretty good here. But Moltres just looks amazing as well. Cinderace had a great season. Octo used it to basically the way it was designed. Switching its typing with the libero ability and stuff like that was just used offensively as well. So good job there, pairing it with one of the support mons that we're talking about, Cottony as well. Those two things. Special Cinderace isn't very scary, but when you have the libero ability giving you the stab boost on all of your attacks, that 65 base special attack stat doesn't seem too weak.
Right.
Not to mention you add fake tiers to that. So very, very cool strategy, very unexpected, and very effective. So place your votes. Metagross seems to be leading the way there so far. Best support, Cottony, Umbreon, Latias. We already talked about them already in their respective categories, all getting nominations. Actually, the Latias didn't.
It did not. But
it got
overshined by some of the more powerful S tiers, I think. And but definitely a good support mon. 29 support moves. 6-3
record, yeah.
It was very, very good.
Yeah, it looks like Umbreon's going to take this one, though, unfortunately. You didn't get the most amount of support moves, but that win-loss and that death rate is just way too good. So I think Umbreon's going to win again. We'll see. But it's got 6 votes to none on the other two, so I think that one's pretty much all locked up. Best duo, I nominated the 3 that I thought were the best this season. Place your votes, and it looks pretty even so far, actually. So I clearly picked 3 decent ones. T-Tar Excadrill on the Sao Paulo Excadrills, drafting its mascot and using it very well. Excadrill could be winning a handful of awards this season. Comfey Moltres, we all know what that does. The weakness policy just being enabled from that Comfey. And Cinderace Cottony, as we mentioned in the last category as well. So all of them have votes so far. We got 2-3-2 across the board with Comfey Moltres leading the way. But the most exciting award that we want to talk about just before we finish up here is the MVP. We've seen these names thrown all throughout all of these already. Metagross, Moltres, Galarian, and Umbreon.
Yes.
Umbreon, because its stats are so impressive.
Yeah.
When in the support role with its win-loss, is one of the best win-losses all season. Second in support moves. Its death rate is incredibly low. That thing was just a monster to deal with. Did last season too. I think this thing is a staple. It's going to be an S tier next season.
No, don't do that. I want that thing. But I'm not paying S tier price for it.
That's one of the reasons why we bump things up. So we want people to use other things. Find discount Umbreons, you know?
That's right.
Yep. So I think we went way longer than we thought we were gonna go. When I say we, I mean you. It's
Obviously, it's all my fault.
100% your fault. If we finish in 15 seconds, we get to 2 hours. Oh my god, on the dime. No, but seriously, everybody, thank you for sticking around for the whole season. If you've listening to all the podcasts, thank you for supporting us. It makes us feel really good seeing that watch count and also the watch time. You guys stick around for way longer than you should.
Yeah, you just throw it on 1.5 speed, probably
1.5 times speed, and then we talk really really fast. But no, thank you everybody. The support's been awesome. Hey, give us your feedback. I'm actually probably going to throw out a survey. I'm going to make it anonymous. Don't worry. You guys can be honest. We want to know what you guys want to hear, what was enjoyable, what wasn't, because we're kind of trying this for the first time. We think we're doing an all right job. We think we're being entertaining, but if we're not, let us know. If there's something that's really boring, let us know. If there's something that's your favorite segment, let us know. We want to do more of what you guys want to listen to, and we want to have fun doing it. So let us know. And we'll add it for the next time we do this, and it'll be a lot of fun. Jay, thank you very much for giving me over 2 hours of your valuable time.
Yes, I'm hungry.
You're hungry. Yeah, and I'm hungry too for a win in the playoffs. Go everybody! Congratulations for making it. Best of luck in the playoffs. Good luck to you, Jay, against your new opponent. Actually, that one's going to be really exciting to watch.
We planned this out, so me and you are going to be the finalists, right?
Collusion, of course.
Go Team
I
Blue.
have to rig it. Go Team Red. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Peace.
It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you gotta be.